Hello there, my fellow YouTube users. How's everything going? This is KennyFan701, and as you can quite tell behind me right here, my room has been completely revamped, and it was for the best. It was needing for a change. Just a few more changes need to come around, and it'll be all completed. It's taken a long time, but we get there in the end. Thing is, apparently, as you can tell by the title and the stream, I'm feeling a lot more happy with myself, a lot more happy in life. To be quite honest, I'm glad I'm feeling happy about myself. Sorry about that, lads. Got a funny nose today. But I gotta let you know, I really am happy with how 2023 so far. Like, we're 3 months into the month, and I'm just feeling like really positive, and I really am. I mean, the spring is finally on the way. You know, the winter has kind of passed, although we are expected to get some ice warnings and some late snow to fall, as what my weather report telling me here off camera. But I gotta let you know, I really do feel like, this year's definitely going to be a lot more better for all of us, and myself included, because we've been through a lot. I mean, ever since the post-pandemic has started, we've started to get normality in life a lot more better. I mean, people have listened a lot more better to take the vaccination and survive it. But the whole thing is, though, I mean, we've learned so much in the last couple of years, despite that was probably the most worst time we ever suffered. Oh, sorry about that. My jaw clicked. I mean, we've suffered so much. Ever since the pandemic began, the world went into an absolute hellhole that most of us didn't come back from, And I actually said a week before we got hit in the UK by it, I actually said, for those of us who will survive and look back, the first question that will come to our minds is, how did we survive? How did we get through it? And I'm one of those who was fortunate enough to have made it, since I've been COVID, not once, but twice. But there were those who were unfortunately unlucky, And we've lost so many greats over the years. But this thing's changed dramatically. I mean, humanity not only changed for the worst, but we saw fandoms change. We saw the Star Wars community somewhat get affected. We saw the anime as well get taken a massive hit. But the Thomas fandom was one of many of those that were very vulnerable, and they got hit even worse. But as you can see lately, and from what I've been seeing, this new Golden Age fandom has slowly been on the rise, and I've seen some incredible retelling stories of some of the older stuff that were done from a decade ago, who have been remastered and done tremendously well. Hey there, creepy boy. Number 19, nice to see you. Yeah, I'm doing good. Ugh. Pardon me for continue yawning and everything. I've got a funny jaw. I've got dropped up pressure on my head. It's not looking good. This is what usually happens whenever the climate changes. I do feel a little off. But I am feeling a lot happy with myself. But the thing is, as I've said for the last couple of years, this isn't just about me. This is about everyone in general around the world globally. Because we all went through probably the worst stages of our lives. We've lost friends and family from the pandemic, but we also lost a lot of lives for other reasons that happened that stripped humanity apart so badly. I mean, heck, I will admit I've come to remorseful and regrets with some of the things that, a lot of us did. I mean, I wasn't the only one who was messed up and made mistakes after what happened to me physically with what I was going through in life, but everybody else was going through the same ordeal very differently. Some were tragic more than it might could have been, but at the same time, I don't want to, go back and repeat what I did about, back in 2020, because it has left a scar. I mean, I may have brought some of it on myself, but everybody globally was doing the exact same thing. And to be quite honest, I do feel like among many of those who are neutral, who have become villainized in a way, just because we didn't support one side or the other. You know where I'm going about with this. But to be quite honest, the way I see it now today is a lot better. Although I'm not talking about the equality stuff because that doesn't exist anymore. I found neutral ground and I feel better about it. But to be quite honest, I won't forgive humanity for the change they've done, making people like myself, or in this skin conditionery, to be a big problem. To be quite honest, we're not all bad. Some of us are just born neutral and good and evil. It's just how it goes in life. But I know I lost a lot of my friends online, mainly because of my own, emotional breakdown, outbursts I've had. And for those of you who I have, unfortunately, unintentionally did hurt, I do wish my sincere apologies and I won't ever do it again. Because, quite frankly, I got the help I needed, as I said before, and I'm a much more better person. As you can tell, I am. But I still look back with regret. I think a lot of us will look back with regret with what we've done in the last 3 years. I mean, the Thomas fandom definitely was never the same ever again. And I can see that there are some who have left the fandom for obvious reasons, which I can totally understand. But there were those who left for personal reasons that we may never understand again. I was one of those who did leave because of the toxicity that followed. But, sometimes online social media is never a good place for certain stuff to be there, and Thomas was among those guys. However, though, like I said, in the outside world, outside the internet, it's much different compared to being here because in the last couple of weeks, let's just say I've had a much more personal impact on my life that's kind of changed me for the best, and I actually feel like this was the right thing to do because I've been, watching certain other things in terms of like, some awesome other YouTube users who do some fantastic content. And this is, not Thomas related or Star Wars or anime or, or anything like that, or not even Batman or Superman related or whatever. This is like the real world I'm referring to. And this definitely made me more cautious and much more, cautious with who I can be when I'm around other people in reality. And it's made me more aware of people who I should befriend and who I should not befriend, or should be very cautious with who I'm around with. And it worked. To be quite honest, this has made me feel more human than ever. And like I said, there's an old saying that one of my former mates told me, and I quote, if there's anybody who can fix certain problems, it's yourself. Quite frankly, that's what I've done. And I'm very proud of it. It actually worked. Some of the best advice I've ever had, despite when I was in my lowest, I still managed to take some of it on board, but it took me time to gather it up, and eventually, just like that. Ever since 2022 of last year, that definitely was the turning point I needed. And I'm sure some of you guys have had your own issues going up and down in life with the whole problems that we've lost in the pandemic, especially when it came down to every movement around whether you were like on whose side mattered more, and then you had, the issues of, society had gone off to a place it never went to. And to be quite frankly, I'm going to be honest with you, I was scared shitless, out there when chaos was happening, when there was a lot of disorder, protesting, for the wrong reasons, and just showing the violent side that humanity had gone down. There was a lot of good people who had turned evil, and some of the friends I've known have gone on to that stage, and some of them I never got back. Maybe it was for the best, to move on and leave them, because I wasn't going to get involved with that anymore. And to be quite honest with you, lads, I'm basically done with a lot of things that I feel like I have no interest in fighting against anymore, because, I'm neutral, a shades of grey type of person, who will not stick to anyone's side. You know, that's just the person of who I am. While I will admit I should have gotten a lot of things a lot more better. And I think in today's time I feel like I am going a lot about things much more positively. And to be quite honest, some of the advice and support that you guys have given me, that really meant something. That really did mean so much, and I couldn't be more thankful. So, here's to you, lads. Although, I have to tell you guys, I'm really, really happy. Like I said, I do feel happy, even though you can see how I am. I do feel like I'm approaching life much better. I found my way back into society. And again, with the advice of opening up and reaching out, it took a few years to do that, but I'm glad it worked. And I do feel happy about that. But from what I've been seeing since what happened in January of this year, what's happening in the United States, which I'm not going to go too much detail with because that's not my personal thing. But I will say I can see the root of all the problems that we had in a couple of years ago was from that very place, and it spread here to the UK. And I've seen a pattern that's emerged regarding, I'm just going to say this briefly, and that's it. The whole thing regarding, the police who have done so much for us to helping us. But when it comes to the US and here in England, the thing that really, really does annoy me. Now, I'm not saying it annoyed me then because I was in a really physically bad state and I wasn't going to have that. But nowadays, I'm just very annoyed that, regardless, we still have the whole thing regarding, our officers who are doing their job. And then there are those who abuse the system, and lately, as we saw in America, we've seen, not just our darker flesh counterparts getting brutalized, but it's also been our type as well, or in the mix between the two. And I've come to realize that it's not just about, the racial term, which is a bad thing. A lot of people have kind of forgotten about that. They don't understand that term anymore because that's why a lot of people, don't get it anymore. But I do. But I've seen a mixed pattern of different things of why many of them have been killed off by them. To a degree, it's part of the job, like I said, in the UK. In the UK and the US, it should be acceptable in a way, but only as a last resort. But in today's time, what can you do? You never know who you might come across with. But after I've seen it now, it's kind of like, not as bad as it is, because now I'm starting to understand the pattern that's unfolding. What happened again in the US, I really do feel bad for a lot of Americans right now they basically have become a divided nation. And that's kind of like what I should have seen like back in 2020 when that happened. Only now do I see it. And I feel I have nothing but sympathy, but, it really is heartbreaking. Now, I'm just going to get this out and I'm just going to leave it at that. I've, decided to back off from a lot of these things, but it really has annoyed me. It really does annoy me that we see what we want to hear from the media and what we see on TV, which we should not be seeing, because as I said before, there's no way we can deal with raciality people and supremacists and whatnot, because I'm finished with that BS. I'm done with that. I have no side of that anymore. I don't really care about those type of people anymore. To be quite honest, it's just a terrible thing to be in. It's just really disgusting. But I've dealt with this now in my own way, and I feel much better about it. I will say this is how I should have done about these things in 2020 and 2021 as well. But at the same time, we can't go back and we can't fix what we did then because we were all in a bad state. We we had that pandemic to deal with, and then humanity decides to just self-destruct on itself, you know. And after what happened in January of this year with, in the US, which was very bad, yeah. And then the following month in February, just before I turned 32, I saw on the BBC News about that whoever it was, that 19-year-old adult teenager who's going to spend the rest of his life behind bars after what he did. When he took the lives of 10, dark flesh people for all because of his quote unquote hatred. I'm not going to lie. For the first time, I was pissed. I was absolutely outraged again. Like it literally was making me think of what happened back in 2020 all over again. But the difference was, it wasn't an officer. It was now done by a bloke who went online and listened to the wrong people and got manipulated and wrote in a what they called again when they write in a mass scut or whatever it's called, those weird books that they write in their journals and what they were going to do. And I saw the whole trial go down, and I obviously wasn't buying into any of it. Like, the perpetrator didn't even, said his apologetics thing, and he was remorseful, but the look on the face and the tears that went down his eyes, to me, were not of sympathy for the victims, was just of himself, because he got screwed over. He knew he was going to, not get the freedom he had anymore. And that's when it hit me. And then one of the, one of the families explained, do I despise you, or do I hate, or no? It's just that, to me, he had something like, you need to think and reflect on your actions and think before you commit. And I'm not going to lie, this moved me so badly that I literally just broke down. I literally thought to myself, this could have been me. Like, if I'd gone any further, what I would have done, this is where I would have landed in. And I'm not going to lie, I feel like I made the right choice. And I found, what's the word again? When I found this neutral zone that I felt, I was like, wow, I totally have reflected, and I feel different about how I am with people nowadays. I don't really bother too much with the whole skin issue anymore, because we need to accept who we are and what we're born with. Peel away the flesh, we have the same blood again that we bleed from. That's what I keep saying. And people are understanding where I come from. I come from a neutral place where I'm never going to pick a side. I accept for what it is. I'm just never going to go back to as I was then. I just never will. To be quite frankly, I can't do that anymore. Despite the fact that, in the back of my mind, I don't find anything about equality anymore. I accept the fact that we have a lot of inequality within us. There's likes and dislikes that we all have. That's what makes us human. We can't always like or dislike everything. And I'm just that type of a person nowadays who basically, I'm happy where I am. Like I said, I feel happy and positive where I'm at right now. I wouldn't say I'm not proud of how far I've come, because there was a lot of trial and a lot of personal issues that I had to battle through. And it was painful. It's something I don't want to experience ever again. And for those of you guys in the Thomas community, for those of you who say you're done with me, period, or you just will never get back with me, just please hear me out. I've reflected a lot, and I'm happy where I'm at. I just hope you guys are finding life better where you are as well. I wouldn't say I'm not done, because I'm still here. A much better person. I still love the quality that the Thomas community is showing nowadays, even more better than we did, like, if you want to go back 10 years ago. Where we're at now with it is just amazing. We've gone through a lot of ups and downs. It's just been one of those things with the fandom. It's never been the same for the last 3 years. And, things have to change, but they should be done in the right way, not in the toxic and negativity way that people don't even see, and which is what I was seeing a lot. And, you know, all the red flags were there. You know, there are a lot of fans who think they are fans of the fandom, only to reveal their true self that they're not. And that's what's been quote unquote killing the fandom, if not the franchise itself. Either ways, though, lads, I have to say, you know, I'm still bouncing back with a lot of other things outside of the internet, because on here I feel a lot better. A lot more better than I ever have done. But I don't have any hate or dislike towards anything in terms of like what I had in the last couple of years. But, you know, because I've let go of a lot of things. And if people have their own problems of not letting go with how I was, then that's their own problem, not mine. And to be quite honest, I have to say, in the last stream that I was doing here now, I'm going to be really strictly honest. And I don't care if he finds out. It's to do with Mason Hagen. If you remember who that guy was, he was a sicko. You know, he was like messing with the fandom on Twitter. And he even admitted and unmasked himself, quote unquote, on my last stream. And to be quite honest, I'm sorry to say this, Mason, but I was very disappointed in you. I didn't appreciate you popping on my stream, and I didn't like the fact that you had the guts and the nerve to communicate with me. I don't forgive you what you did. None of us will ever forgive you. I saw what you did on one particular stream, who I will not say, when you saw your own content and voice messaging being, you know, slandered, and some were done for a laugh, which had it coming. But at the same time, you had the audacity to, well, you didn't show your face or whatever, but you did show your camera yourself giving the mid finger to two people who I will not mention. And you explained in the most childish, cowardly way of your excuses of why you acted the way you did. So unprofessional, man. And, you know, when you came on my stream last time and you were saying you were nervous to communicate with me, you're damn right you should have been, because I'm not accepting you anymore. You're finished. You're never coming back to voice dubbing. And I have to tell you, mate, you dug your own grave with it. I'm not going to have you back. You can actually forget about begging and whatever, because it ain't happening, man. I'm not worthy of your time anymore. Yeah, I just had to really get that out there, lads. I really had to, because to be quite honest, when I saw that, I was not happy about it. And some of my mates who were watching it online as well, they were not pleased either. They were literally outraged. They were actually very angry about it. So Mason Hagen, take my word for advice. Forget about me. Move on with your life. To be quite frankly, stay away from the Thomas fandom and do something with your life. And, you know, be a grown man. That's the best thing I can give you. If you can't do that, then at least I tried. So anyways, lads, like I said before, 2023, we're only 3 months into this in the year, and I can only imagine what the rest of the year is going to look like, because with everything that's unfolding up right now, it does seem like good times are showing upon the horizon. You know, ever since 2020 happened, we were like sunk into this black hole thing that we never knew of. 2021, we slowly started to emerge, and then last year in 2022, we finally came out. And now we don't know what we're going to do. But hopefully for the rest of the 2020s, from what I'm trying to picture in my head right now, is that we can hopefully have a much more better outcome. And who knows, by the time we reach the 2030, we might have a happy ending to the decade, because that's what we want, you know. But I think a lot of us are going to look back and it was one of the worst decades we've ever had to deal with. But I'm hoping things will turn out for the best. You know, I think the Tom's community is going to be a lot better because, quite frankly, it is getting a lot more better now than it ever has done. And who knows what will happen? What new content we're going to see? What new fanfic stories are we going to come across from? It's going to be really intriguing, and I'm quite excited about it, especially for this year's anniversary that we're reaching when we get to May. That is. After all that, I don't know where I'll go. I mean, the good thing is I can still voice dub. Like, I'm basically coming back into the voice dubbing still, but I'm slowly limited. Um, Besides all that, you know, I might make some short videos or whatever the case may be because, I'm not really into it like I used to be. But that's just how I am, being an old schooler myself. But we'll see where we go. I mean, later on, I might stream again later to give you an update. But the good thing is, like I said, I'm very happy. I feel happy, to be honest. I'm not saying I'm enthusiastically happy, but I do feel positive. Very positive. Maybe it was the aftermath of me turning 32 or something. It could have been anything. But I do feel really happy in my current stage in life. We'll just see what 2023 brings out. And who knows what will happen in the next year when we get to 2024. Anyways, though, lads, this will just wrap up this happy stream thing. Sci-fi was a little bit up and down with the whole thing I had to get up. I had to really get a lot of stuff that I felt, bothered by. But the good thing is, though, I feel very good. And I hope you guys are feeling the same way too, wherever you are in this world. So that just about wraps it up for this one. Take care, lads. And hope you enjoy the rest of your week. This is KFan701. Until we stream again another time.